Thank you. It's difficult when you want to talk about somebody that was both your player and your daughter. We're going to kind of split this up just a little bit, but most of this is about the player, because a reflection of how they play, how they conduct themselves, is a reflection of the character of the person. It just is, and that's the way it is. Carol, her mom, and me both were excited when Meredith came home after graduation, because we had gone, Carol to the University of Missouri, me to Vanderbilt University, and when we got home, we were more knowledgeable of that stuff. When Meredith got back from graduating at Transy, she was smarter. This is a big difference. So that's part of what this is. I was 12 years a coach, and 10 of those were one of Meredith's coaches at one level or another. In those years, I learned something about players. There's two basic type of players who make decent teams. One is the ones who are productive in the softball sense, a lot of times in those first 4 innings. That's where you're going to get something good at them, you're going to get it then. There's a few on every team that are productive every inning, and they lighten it up on the 6th and 7th. Not because they try harder, because they want to do it in the last 2 innings. If their opportunity comes up, it's at the point of contact. This is how we win games. They want to shine. Most of us don't want to shine all that much. We want to shine a little bit, but we don't want the responsibility of success lying on our shoulders. Because of that, those last group of players, of which Meredith is one of them, don't play confused by the fog of competition. How they have to play in a particular situation. If you coach people, you understand it's not this whole game that kind of rumbles along. It's what happens in a particular situation when you have to make a play. And great players live for seeing that situation, and when they see it, it comes right out of that fog of competition, and they see it clearly. They may have only seen it for 20 seconds, or they may have seen it building for a minute and a half or 2 innings, but they've seen it, and they go right at it. And when they see it, they act, and they do not concern themselves with failure. I've got a short story that I think indicates what I mean when I'm talking about Meredith and other players like her. It was, spring, like late spring doubleheader game on a Sunday, which is when they always played it. And weather was nice, everything was going pretty good. The 7th inning, game was tied. Meredith came to the plate. Now the coach and her pitcher had this idea, we aren't going to have a one-off here. Somebody else is going to have to beat us. So I didn't really throw her anything good, and Meredith could have tried to yank something around, and maybe she'd have got a single or something, but she didn't do that. They weren't going to throw her a good pitch. She'd go to first base. Because it wasn't her job to explode things. It was her job to win the game if it was possible. But she had 9 teammates. They're supposed to help out too. So she took her walk. But got ready to go. Next person up made an out, 1 out. Next person up made an out, 2 outs. Now we come to the 3rd person up. Annie, who was not the greatest hitter on the team, but she was the most dependable person to get you out of forest fire with a small axe. She would do what it would take, or try to make the things work. The important thing about Meredith is she knew exactly who was going up on the plate. Somebody who would make something happen. It might not be pretty, but it was going to happen. And 2, she was the fastest base runner on the team. Great players put these factors in their heads or back them up. They're not thinking about this when they're out there. The calculus is going. So Annie and the pitcher battle for a while, and then finally she throws her a decent enough pitch. It wasn't great, but decent enough pitch for her to get bat on it. The way it came off the bat, I know she hit just below the trademark because it was one of these fast rollers. It took a couple hops and started rolling. I'm sitting there watching this thing, and it's bump, bump, bump. It started rolling. It wasn't creepy rolling. It was rolling along good enough to induce the shortstop. Well, I'll just wait till it shows up. And he's taken off. The ball hits the ground first thing. Meredith took off. Meredith could see what was going to happen. I better get somewhere else where they're at, and I'm going to keep going till they stop me. She was not going to slow down. So while the bad ball is bouncing around and hitting right at the shortstop, so now the shortstop has got the perfect, I do not have to do anything because it's about just pick the ball up, the conventional play, and throw it to first base. This neglected two things. One, the ball really wasn't getting there that fast, and two, the fastest person on the team is running to first base. But the shortstop didn't see all of that. Meredith saw all of that, so she's going full blower. By the time the shortstop picks it up, she's behind her heading to third base. He hadn't slowed down a lick. Shortstop turns up and throws the ball. By the time she let go of the ball, Meredith's almost at third base. By the time the ball gets to first base, Meredith's turned, third, full speed, heading home. Now, the first baseman catches the ball, and she was at a loss because I think she was waiting for out, which would have been hard to do, but she didn't have eyes in the back of her head and couldn't see that Annie was a couple of steps down the line. So she woke up, I think, when her teammates started screaming, throw it home, throw it home. This is not what other people do, but Meredith was already 2/3 of the way home when she woke up and threw the ball, and it was about 2 steps late. That's what great players live for, the yay thing. But they also live for their teammates jumping around and the pride in doing a job well. Built out of a good play by a teammate to make something happen, and about 3 or 4 mistakes the other team made, it created the opportunity. Meredith was able to exploit it and get there. This is the only time she ever won a game like this. Usually she won a game by hitting one about 210 feet into left field. That's how she won games. Or right field, or center field, or, that's how that. But this is an illustrative of what it takes to get it done, to step in there and make the play you got to make that day, that game, the rest of your life. And this was, I think, I could see this was how Meredith impacted her teammates. They depended on her. She was a catcher. They depended on her to give fielding directions and all sorts of stuff. They depended on her leadership. But you can't be a leader if you don't get stuff done. Okay? So she was the person who got it done, and she was the person who, when the opportunity presented, got it done, and she was the person who helped them get it done. Now, from a parent standpoint, that's the coach path. 3/4. I mean, Meredith's first game. See, Meredith played slow pitch softball till she was 13. Then she played a summer of fast pitch softball before she became 14 and went to Eastern High School and was on the JV softball team. No one in those whole 5 years of playing had thrown a ball at her where it might actually hit you. Didn't phase her a lick. So her first at bat, she's playing Fur Creek. It's a JV game, First pitch, not a good pitch to throw. Mid-thigh, mid-part of the plate. Off it goes. Home run, left of center. She had a great career at Eastern. But the end up of this whole thing, and what Transy means to her is her last game. The game was not on the line. They were going to win the game. They were going to end up winning 7-2 or something like that. That wasn't the point. Last inning, last at-bat, if Meredith was going to get to her last at-bat, other than the one she had before, she was 5th in the lineup, so that's not likely to happen. But 2 of her teammates knocked around and dug out 2 sharp hits, and so Meredith got the bat with 2 outs. And the second pitch went out to left center field. So she started her career with a home run, and she ended it with a home run. Some may be important to some, but Meredith passed up a lot of home runs, a lot of shots at home runs, and other times she made them up because the team needed her to make something up. Literally. I got to hit one. I'll dig around till it comes up and I'll do what I can with it. So the most important statistic that I look at in her stuff is a 1. She got an RBI for every 1.5 hits. It's not that she didn't hit well, because she did hit very well. It's she hit when she needed to, and they were productive hits. For a softball player, that means you got it done when I needed you to get it done. So now I'd like to introduce to you to your next Hall of Fame inductee, Meredith Susan Carrithers.
I'm used to speaking to little children, so this is so much different. And when I'm in a gym, I have a whistle, and I don't need one of these. So I'll try to kind of tone my voice down a little bit. Thank you so much, Dad. First, I would like to thank the TU Athletic Department, the Pioneer Advisory Board, and all of the helping hands that made this night possible. When I received the call this summer about my nomination and induction into the Transy Hall of Fame, my mind was flooded with my past teammates, coaches, and TU softball families. From spring break trips to Fort Myers, where we would crank out 10 games in 5 days, I would be catching all of those in the sweltering heat. Coming from Kentucky in March to then there was quite the shock. Also, with big conference wins and memories of time on the TU softball team were special ones. I remember when we first came on campus for a college visit. As I stepped out of the car, I knew this is where I wanted to be. I knew I wanted to be a TU Pioneer. From the beginning, my dad got me out there. I can't remember what age I started throwing that white ball around. Remember, he said I was playing slow pitch, so that ball was white. But what I do remember was that I was an angel. At least that was the team I was assigned to. From there, I caught the softball bug. Dad had me out in the backyard with homemade batting tees and an array of every type of wiffle ball imaginable. It was only a matter of time that Mom and brother Matt were already on board too. Weekends and summers were full of softball tournaments and time spent at the ballpark. Throughout those innings spent on the diamond, there were key players on my bench. First, my mom. Mom, thanks for cheering loud always, never missing a game, and being pretty fun. From the time that you dressed up as a vampire with all the other moms at a Transy game, and then to maybe stealing a sign or two at a couple ballparks that I hit home runs at. I still have those in my garage, by the way. Let's see. Matt, thanks for always being there. Thanks for putting your pitching arm through a workout every single week, and especially for waiting in line for hours to get the real Dottie Henson's autograph at the Softball World Series. Thank you also to my TU family and the teammates who always had my back on and off the field. My coach's corner was full of good key players too. From the Middletown Stars with the late Don Dobina, who taught me to be passion and play with grit, to the Louisville Stray Cats with Daryl Hunter, who helped finesse my catching game and allowed me to grow behind the plate, to finally Coach Kelly Anderson here at TU, who pushed me to become the player that I did become. Each coach had a powerful impact on me, but the ultimate coach in my life was my dad. Thanks, Dad, for the time spent in every weather element possible. Thanks for strategizing, keeping stats, and helping coach every team I played on. And thanks for your acrobatics at third base coach, to your mesmerizing pep talks before each matchup, some I still use in the classroom today. Thanks for teaching me dedication, love of the game, and how to slam that ball. Thanks for knowing when I needed the whoop whoop and when I needed a hug and some game advice. It's truly because of you and your steady love, support, and guidance that I stand here today. Thank you so much for honoring me today.